Greetings. I am Legacy Moon, and this is True Crime and Mysteries. Welcome back to all of my current subscribers, and welcome to all my visitors and guests. On April 16th, 2022, a man by the name of Jeffrey Meredith was on his property, and it's kind of like a wooded area there, and he was out there foraging for mushrooms. Now, Mr. Meredith loves that woods that's adjacent to his property. He loves to go out there and, as I said, forage for mushrooms. He also likes to just sit out there. It's his getaway, it's his tranquility, it's his escape, and he just loves being out there. Well, on that particular day, Mr. Meredith found a suitcase. It was a Las Vegas suitcase, and he looked at it and he started to call the police. But he didn't want to do that. He didn't want to, overreact after, just finding a suitcase. So he decided to open the suitcase. When he opened up the suitcase, he saw a black trash bag. So Mr. Meredith, he went on ahead and he opened up that trash bag. And in that bag was a little black boy. Mr. Meredith immediately called the police, and the police came out, and so the investigation began. This also shook Mr. Meredith, having found this, and he was visibly upset and has been ever since, especially since this child had no name.
Jeff Meredith calls this place heaven. It's the woods outside his home. He says he can sit for hours every day and just watch it. But on one day, April 16th, he found something out of place. It was a boy, and now it's his mission to find that boy's name.
When I first saw that little feller, immediately I felt that he was telling me, help me. I need help.
It was late that Saturday. Jeff Meredith was out in the woods of his property looking for mushrooms.
And I decided to cross over and mushroom hunt on this side here. And I come up on the body.
The body of a boy in a suitcase 80 feet off the road. Jeff thought to call police, but he told me he'd feel like a fool if they got there and it was just a suitcase, so he opened it.
It's wrong. God, is it wrong? In every way.
Nearly 2 weeks later, it's tough for him to get close to that spot again.
It bothers me, but it ain't about me. It's about that little boy that they threw away like it's a piece of trash. That's what bothers me worse than anything in the world, because I've got 5 grandbabies.
3 of them are around that boy's age. He's a proud grandpa who cared for his kids so that they could one day raise their own.
It's the blessing of life to watch them develop into the little human beings that they will be later on.
One little human will never get to be more. Jeff's learning to accept he can't control that, but he hopes to convince someone to come forward with information on the death and, most importantly, a name.
He deserves to have a name, Just like you and I, we've got a name, and we want a name put on our stone after we're gone. And he deserves that. So if anybody out there knows anything, please come forward. Because that little 5-year-old boy needs you now more than ever, to give him his dignity back to him.
Want to get you up to date on where the investigation stands right now. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children is helping state police here in Indiana try to find out who the little boy is. State police have resources to help in the investigation, including a forensic artist who can do facial reconstruction.
Once the police were on the scene, of course, they gathered all of the things, the suitcase, the bag, and sent it off. They sent the bag off to the Indiana crime line. Oh, and I'm sorry, this took place in Indiana. So the suitcase and the contents in the suitcase, they were all sent to the crime lab in Indiana. Meanwhile, on April 14th, 2022, an autopsy determined that the young man died of an electrolyte imbalance, most likely caused by complications of dehydration. And at time of autopsy, he still, of course, had no name. Meanwhile, the crime lab, they were doing their thing, trying to get fingerprints and anything that they could obtain from the suitcase and the contents that were found within the suitcase. On June the 29th, 2022, the crime lab notified the police that they were able to lift a print off of the trash bag that was found in the suitcase, and they got a match. The fingerprint came back to a Dejan Ludi Anderson, and she is a Black female. Now, her pronunciation of her name, I'm calling her Dejan because that's what all of the news clips refer to her as. So that's how I'm going to pronounce it. On July 25th, 2022, the crime lab once again notified the police to let them know that they were able to lift another print off of this black trash bag. And they got a match for that print too. And it belonged to Dawn Elaine Coleman. Now, Dawn has several aliases, and they are A, B, as in letter A and letter B, Unc Kick, Unc Bella, and Blossom Butterfly. On June the 26th, 2022, we learned the identity of the young man that was found in the suitcase, and his name was Cairo Amir Jordan. Look at that handsome little boy. Cairo had been buried before he was identified, so his tombstone read, "In loving memory of a beloved little boy known but to God." And then, of course, once he was identified, his name was added to the tombstone. Headstone. So as I'm recording this video, I'm actually doing it. I'm letting my emotions lead the direction of this video. And I'm going to do something that I said I wasn't going to do. And that is read a messenger message that the father of Cairo, named Vincent C. Jordan, it's what he wrote. And it says, "Today, my heart was broken into a million pieces. I got a call from an officer telling me that my 5-year-old son, Cairo Jordan, who ironically turned 6 today, was murdered by his mother, Dejan Anderson, in Indiana on April 14th, 2022. It's October 25th, his birthday, and they are just now notifying me about his death. Me and my family have spent the past 3 years looking for Dejan in Cairo. She took him away at the beginning of our custody battle in 2017. She threatened to call the police on me for coming to pick him up on an agreed weekend. She never showed up in court, and it's killing me because that was the last weekend that I was to see my baby boy. I swear, y'all don't know the pain. As a father, I feel defeated. This was the only thing I feared on this earth. This sick bitch smothered my son, put his body in a fucking suitcase outside of Salem, Indiana. The unidentified little boy who was found in the suitcase is my son, Cairo Jordan. His story has been on CNN and other news platforms for the past 6 months, and whole time it's my child, OMFG. Boy, when I tell you I'm sick to my stomach, everyone knows how I am about my kids. And I never thought I would have gotten a call today. This is a parent's worst nightmare. Choose your mate wisely. Y'all, it's deeper than just baby mama, baby daddy drama. Rest in heaven, Cairo. I love you, son. He was such an adorable little guy. Dawn Coleman, and this is an important part of the story, at least I think so. She was an astrologist and a psychic. She was into spirituality, and she did various things such as intuitive readings, such as general finance or ancestors. She did heart and mind alignment and manifestation alignments. She did, she healed chakras and, all sorts of things. Now, I want to say, and like I just said a few minutes ago, I think that this is very important in the story. I, myself, I have alternative beliefs, so I understand a little bit about what she does and what she represents. I just have a problem with the way it flows from her. It'll become apparent.
I am on an island that is covered with nothing but creatures. We have to understand that our evolution has been stagnated for a very, very long time. So there are things here that vibrate higher than us. If you really about this spiritual shit, like you guys say, you would meditate and raise your vibration. You guys have to keep vibrating higher.
What I'm going to do now is read a few posts that were posted by Dawn Coleman, aka Unc Kick. And these posts were made after Cairo was unalived. And this post was made April 10th, 2022. And it says, most of us are vibrated beyond the universe before we got in these bodies. So make it make sense. We have to climb up vibrational ladder and keep evolving. Stop sitting. AK MG. Now, AK and MG are two of her clients. On April 12, 2022, she went live on Instagram, and she said she was going live to heal and bond with AK. She was going to also be offering higher self channels, mental block pulls, intuitive readings, general spiritual guidance, finance, manifestations, and alignments, which frequency surgery to align your vibration to your manifestation. So she was going to be performing sort of like I don't want to call it virtual. It's not coming to me, the word that I want, but here's that live.
Thank you. I'm going to disconnect from your energy. Thank you so much, Virgie. You're so sweet. Michael, you're welcome, love. You in here, baby? I'm going to go ahead and do your higher self channel. You ready? And then I got my mental block pool. This ambient forest sounds is really appropriate for my live. It's kind of hard to find sounds. I'm already high vibrational and really kind of don't need no background music, but this was nice. I like this. I think I'm gonna do this again. Make me feel like I'm really somewhere else in the rainforest somewhere. I'm here, honey. This gonna be a heavy channel. I am so excited to channel your motherfucking higher self because you is something else and your higher self is something else, okay? She done already tapped me on my shoulder like, okay, honey, I'm ready for the show to go on. Okay, baby, hold on a minute. Look. Oh, your higher self too bad. She said, I'm ready for the show to go on. She done did this already. All right, let me clear my energy, my love. All right. Okay. All right. Honey, we are the bold and the beautiful, okay? We are the best of the best of the best, and everyone just doesn't know it yet. And sometimes we act like we forgot, but we never forget. Trust and believe nothing ever, ever misses our heads. And anyone who has ever crossed us always regrets it on all timelines with all of our soul versions. For all of our soul versions, do not play behind ourselves. And you are the version of us that is catching up to that. You are setting these boundaries. You are telling people when to go and where to go and how to go. And you don't care how you say it anymore. It is time for you to stand up for yourself and keep speaking your truth. Let your throat chakra work and don't worry about how people take it. Don't worry about what people say and what people think and how people lie. And look at how generous you are and how you give on to others while you are currently mourning and transitioning and shifting into a reality without having your best mate right there next to you. You shouldn't be giving anyone anything. It is time for you to give it all to you. No one should be asking you for any help, for if anyone should be checking on you to see how you are doing, to see if you need anything. Do not help another soul. You have nothing to give them. You have everything to give you and those beautiful babies that picked you along their spiritual journey. I see nothing but abundance coming in, nothing but more empowering experiences to choose your soul, more opportunities to stand up and be more independent and more empowered, because now this is a new chapter of your life and you will step through it with your head held high and everyone by your side to support you. I am always here for you. I am nothing but a breath away. Whenever you get stressed out and you feel alone and you feel like everything is piling on top of you, I am right here with you, smiling and nothing but love. I am always happy. So when you are not happy, you know that you are holding yourself in a space that is not close to me, which is you, which is us, which is all, which is one, and I am nothing but a breath away. I love you. I must go now.
I want to make mention again that Dawn Coleman, also known as Ankh Kick, she continuously posts. It's like life went on. So I am only picking out just a few posts that kind of stood out for me, and also posts that kind of explains who she was, what her mindset was around the time, and what she did. So this next post says, catch up to your soul's evolution. Things are not as they seem. You are behind your soul instead of in alignment with it. The misaligned MFs are getting booted out of the atmosphere. Carry on, toxic and chaos beings. You and everything you're connected to are out. MG. This one here on April the 29th, 2022, to me was very important. It states, new level, new devil. Y'all too busy looking for it on the outside of you when it's in you, and will swallow your soul to stay. Carry on. Of course, to MG. That's very important because a part of what the problem was is that Dawn Coleman and Dejan Anderson, Cairo's mother, felt that there was a devil inside of him. He was just an avatar, and he was not really a child. I think he was an old man or something, is what their thought process was. Dawn Coleman would eventually go on to take a plea deal for her role in the unaliving of Cairo. And at that time, his mother, Dewan, however you say it, I'm so sorry for that, was still on the run. Now keep in mind that Dawn Coleman was caught in San Francisco, and she claimed to not know where Cairo's mother was.
This is a story we've also been covering from the very beginning. Today, Dawn Coleman sentenced to decades in prison. She is one of two people charged in the death of 5-year-old Cairo Jordan, who was found dead in a suitcase in southern Indiana last year. Cairo's death shocking the small community in Washington County, Indiana, near Salem, after a mushroom hunter found his body stuffed in a Las Vegas-style suitcase in the middle of the woods in April of 2022. It took months for Cairo to be identified, even buried as the boy known to be God. Dawn Coleman was charged with aiding Cairo's mother, Dijon Anderson, in his murder. Alexis Jones and photojournalist Nelson Reyes report from the courtroom.
Dawn Coleman didn't show any emotion while inside of the courtroom Tuesday, and she decided not to speak. However, the judge didn't hold back before handing down her sentence.
Unfortunately, the walls of your jail cell for the next 25 years will be nothing compared to the walls of that suitcase. I hope the image is forever etched in your memory. It was thought that this child was possessed by the devil, but it's you, Dawn Coleman, that has the devil in your soul.
Judge Larry Medlock spoke passionately after learning loved ones didn't show up in support of Cairo Jordan. As a part of Coleman's plea deal, Medlock says she will serve a 30-year sentence. The first 25 years will be spent in the Indiana Department of Corrections. The remaining 5 were suspended, but Coleman will be on probation. Attorneys say Coleman will also testify against Cairo's mother once she's found. After today's hearing, Sergeant Kerry Holes with Indiana State Police shared where they are in locating Dijon Anderson.
It's a very active investigation. Any lead, anything that we can do to locate the mother in this case is what we're going to do. I'm confident that will happen, that we will find her. Again, innocent until proven guilty. She needs her day in court. We want her to come here and answer for that, to give her side of the story. But until we find her, we're not going to stop looking.
If you see Anderson or know where she is, Hull says to contact your local police department.
While Dijon Anderson was out there being a fugitive, the police were busy at work doing what police should be doing. One of the things that they did was they got a subpoena for her Facebook account, which, by the way, it's gone. There is nothing. So I have to go by what is written in the affidavits. And what the police found on her Facebook account is that December 5th, 2021, she sent a message using the name Katu. And it says, I offer reversal spell, protection spell, activating your DNA, exorcism, hex, curse. On sometime around January 5th, 2022, Dawn Coleman, also known as Ankh Kek, made a post on Facebook that said, I'm using my blood for this ritual. On February 19th, 2022, Dijon Anderson wrote on her Katu account, can't wait to tell my story. I had to raise my frequency, heal myself and past lives, heal my ancestors, heal shit in the universe, heal Gia to exorcism, a very powerful demonic force from within my son, had people in enough alignment with their soul to assist me. Still, I choose my soul and was able to completely heal myself and remove old paradigms from my mind. I know you can choose your soul with no questions asked. And as you listen to these dates, please keep in mind that little Cairo was found February the 16th, 2022. Now, on March the 15th, 2022, Dejan Anderson, under her Katu account, said, "Stop getting caught up in the vessels of this realm. You guys get caught up with how old the body is, if they adult and kids, etc. Don't even know it's a full-grown demon in the child body telling you what to do because you didn't choose your soul. Better start using your third eye." March the 18th, 2022, under the account Katu, she wrote, "You have to use your magic for everything. We have transitioned to living in the now. If you still have trauma that is unhealed, you are creating resistance for us that are healed. Fuck with your frequency. Stop this low vibrational movement." Now, I want you to know I'm reading like this because I really want you to catch what is being said. Again, on March the 18th, 2022, Dejan Anderson, under her Katu account, posted, "Can't wait to tell this story about that exorcism, a book about living with a demonic child, and a podcast." Now we're back into Dawn Coleman, also known as Unc Cake, and I'm going to read her Facebook post, and they fall in line of what's going on here. And I think one of them I've already read, but it's just good to hear this because it all flows. So on April 4th, 2022, Unc Cake, "Don't let the avatars fool you. There is a face under it. You need to see some have souls, some don't. Evil and wicked is hiding in plain sight. Must keep rising." On April 8th, 2022, she says, "Just because the avatar is of what we call a child does not mean that it is actually a child. There are beings that are here that are not supposed to be here, that pick up avatars to hide behind, to play roles, to steal energy, and to actually have souls, or if they're not malevolent beings with a soul and in a child avatar. Magic is a real curse. Magic is real. Curses are real. And there are some very powerful evil beings there that will curse your womb and then some. Nothing is what it seems. And we are catering to evil beings in children avatars that aren't even children. You'll need to raise most of what most will be wiped out because of your demons. And this paradigm has no room for that. And once again, I'm reading like that because I want you to catch what is being said. And not only that, the grammar is so bad. But anyhow, April 10th, 2022, Ankh Cake. Most of the children aren't even really children. At that, just in an avatar playing a character. I want to mention that the car that Dawn Coleman and Dejan Anderson were traveling in was registered to a business owned by Dejan Anderson. The business was called Ashley Logistics Corporation. I have no idea what it was. I couldn't find anything on what it was. And I'll be honest, I didn't really dig that deep because I really don't think it was anything, because she was listed as the CEO and Cairo was listed as the secretary. Now, on March the 12th, 2022, Dejan Anderson and Don Coleman were traveling in a car along with Cairo. And on that date, March the 12th, she led the police on a wild high-speed chase. She eventually pulled over and wouldn't get out the car, so the police had to breach the car. She was taken into custody and charged with endangerment of a child, speeding over 25 miles per hour, failure to stop for blue lights. During that stop, she told the police that Dawn Coleman was her sister. Therefore, they released Cairo into Dawn's custody, and they transported them back to the hotel that they were staying at. I don't understand, if there's child endangerment, I would think a social worker would have been called, but apparently not. On March the 31st, 2022, Dejan Anderson was arrested by the Louisville Metro Police Department for robbery second degree, where she apparently took something from the mall, and when a security officer was trying to detain her, she punched that officer in the face. Finally, on April the 11th, 2022, Dejan Anderson was released from the Jefferson County Jail. I guess when she got out of jail on April 11th, 2022, I'm assuming she was happy to be out. So she decided to go on Facebook under her name, Katu, and put the following message. I just got out of a jail mission. Yes, had to do some healing and killing. That was on April 11th. On April the 12th, 2022, she made another Facebook post, a Twitter post. And this name, the name that she used was Miss Deja Day. And what she wrote, I'm not going to put the guy's name, but she said, "Good day, sir. I need to speak with you urgently. I have survived the death attacks from my 5-year-old throughout the 5 years he has been alive. I have been able to weaken his powers through our blood. I have his real name, and he is 100 years old. Need assistance." Now, you remember a little ways back, I said that Dawn Coleman had posted that one of them had posted, I don't even know, with all the names, that they basically did a spell with blood. So I'm assuming that this is what she's referring to in this post. I am also going to assume, based on the knowledge that I have of certain practices, that she needed this man's help to do something with the spirit. Now, I could be wrong, but, I'm just going by what I think based on the knowledge I have. On April 15th, 2022, Dejan made another Facebook post under the name Katu, and it says, "This is a whole demon in a child body. Why you think she need a cigarette? Losing energy, huh? 64 years old in a child body. Was full of gifts and magical rights, stronger than many of you because your frequency is not high enough. Start asking spirit to reveal these things to you, hiding behind a body." Now, this is where I kind of question her sanity, because the day before it was a 100-year-old man, and now it's someone who's 64 years old. So we're just going with the flow of the text messages and Facebook posts and the affidavit. Now, before I fully move on to what has gone on at Dejan's first court appearance, I want to show this picture. This is a photo of Dawn Coleman, and she's doing a live on Instagram. I looked high and low everywhere for this live, and I found all kinds of lives that she has done, but I have not found this one. And I really wanted to have it, just number one, just to get a little clip of it, and number two, how the difference between the date of this suitcase and when it was found in the woods in Indiana. Also, I sit and wonder as I look, was Dejan in the suitcase then when she was doing this? I don't know because I have no date from when this live was done, but there's the suitcase and there's Dawn Coleman. Now, Dejan made her first appearance in court, I believe last week or so. And of course, she's being held with no bond. And she has also decided that she's going to represent herself. I found it very interesting that she has a college degree and she is articulate, but I just have some mental health concerns about this lady.
The mother of a 5-year-old boy whose body was discovered stuffed inside a suitcase 2 years ago made her first appearance inside an Indiana courtroom on Tuesday. Dejan Anderson was arrested last month across the country in California as she attempted to board an LA Metro train. She faces charges of murder, neglect of a dependent resulting in death, and obstruction of justice in the death of her son, 5-year-old Cairo Jordan. Cairo's body was found in southern Indiana in April of 2022 inside a hard-shell suitcase with the print titled, "Welcome to the Fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada." A medical examiner reportedly found that he died from an electrolyte imbalance, likely due to gastroenteritis or vomiting or diarrhea that led to dehydration. Investigators say Anderson killed the young boy because she believed he was possessed by demons. And police say Cairo Jordan's mother, Dejan Anderson, isn't the only one responsible for his death. Police say Anderson's friend Dawn Coleman is also responsible, naming the two as suspects in a 2022 press conference. Both seemingly attempted to flee. Coleman was found and arrested in San Francisco in October of 2022, then extradited back to Indiana. Meanwhile, Anderson was found 2 years later. Coleman would ultimately take a plea. She was sentenced to 25 years in prison for conspiracy to commit murder and is reportedly obligated to testify against Anderson during trial. Anderson herself is making headlines again for her bizarre appearance during Tuesday's hearing. When the judge asked her her name, she didn't respond to Dejan Anderson. Instead, called herself a princess representing her own entity.
For the record, would you state your full name, please?
Yes, I'm a Princess Kalika Hatan Tupac II, representing the entity Dejan Anderson.
So you're known as Dejan Anderson?
I represent the entity of Dejan Anderson.
And your date of birth?
My date of birth is February 2nd, 1961.
And that would make you how old?
That would make me 63 years old.
But Anderson is not 63 years old. She's actually 38. When the judge asked her for the last 4 digits of her social security number, she said she doesn't have one. And when asked for her address, she listed one from North Hollywood. When the judge went on to list the charges against Anderson, she can be seen making faces in the courtroom.
Officer Busick, who's investigated this and looked for you for the past 2 years, and Prosecutor Hunt have charged you with 3 counts of criminal conduct. Count 1 is murder as a felony, would indicate that between April the 10th, 2022 and April the 16th, 2022 in Washington County, state of Indiana, you did knowingly or intentionally kill another human being, that being child victim number 1, contrary to the form of the statutes in such cases made and provided by Indiana Code 35-42-1-1. Parentheses 1, and against the peace and dignity of the state of Indiana. Count 2, neglect of a dependent resulting in death as a level 1 felony, would indicate between December the 1st, 2021 and April the 16th, 2022 in Washington County, state of Indiana, you being at least 18 years of age and having the care of child victim 1, a dependent, less than 14 years of age, did knowingly place said dependent in a situation that endangered the dependent's life or health and which resulted in the death of child victim number 1. Count 3, obstruction of justice, as a level 6 felony, would indicate that between April the 10th, 2022 and April the 16th, 2022 in Washington County, state of Indiana, you did alter, damage, or remove a record, document, or thing with the intent to prevent said item from being produced or used as evidence in a legal proceeding or an administrative or criminal investigation, contrary to the form of the statutes made in such case provided. The murder, a felony, has a range of imprisonment from 45 years to 65 years, with the advisory sentence being 55 years and up to a $10,000 fine. The level 1 felony, neglect of a dependent, resulting in death, has a range of imprisonment from 20 years to 40 years, with the advisory sentence being 30 years and up to a $10,000 fine. And the level 6 felony has a range of imprisonment of no time in jail if it's treated as a misdemeanor to 2.5 years at the Indiana Department of Corrections, with the advisory sentence being 1 year and up to a $10,000 fine. Do you understand what you've been charged with?
I do understand.
After the judge listed the charges and potentially lengthy sentences she faces, he asked if she wanted the courts to get her a lawyer, and she responded, "I want to represent myself."
You understand if you do that, you are required to conduct yourself as a lawyer to be able to voir dire the potential jurors, to abide by the rules of evidence, to abide by the rules of procedure.
I do understand. I have a master's in history.
That doesn't give you a law degree, though.
But I do understand how to read procedures.
All right. All right. Just because you represent yourself, doesn't ensure yourself of a good lawyer, you know.
That's a personal opinion, but I understand.
Make your request in writing, okay?
I will. Can you give me at least just like 5 days?
I can certainly give you 5 days to do that. I think what my intention would be, let me ask you this. Can you afford a lawyer?
It's not that I can't afford a lawyer, it's that I want to do self-representation due to, I understand the nature of my case, and I understand that this is my life on the line, and I do understand that there are things that involve my case as far as the evidence that I hold, which is Q classified evidence, which should be turned over to Judge Advocate General Courts immediately, if possible. Because my case involves other cases that are open currently with Judge Advocate General Courts, as well as federal investigations that are open.
Well, if the Judge Advocate General approaches us, we'll address it at that point in time. How about I appoint you standby counsel?
Oh, no, thank you.
No, thank you. All right. You make your written request. I need to advise you, you have a right to a
Did you know TurboTax now provides you with a tax expert who will do your tax?
speedy public trial by jury in this county. You have the right to face all witnesses against you, see, hear, question, and cross-examine those witnesses. You have the right to have witnesses brought into court to testify on your behalf, and at your request, the court will issue subpoenas requiring those individuals to come into court to testify on your behalf or to bring evidence in. You have the right to have the state prove you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to remain silent. You cannot be required to give any testimony or make any statements against yourself to anyone. You do have the right to be heard in your own defense at any hearing or trial concerning the charges against you. Anything you say, however, may be used against you. Do you have any questions concerning your rights?
No, I do not.
When the issue of bond came up, prosecutors urged the judge to set the highest amount because Anderson is a flight risk.
It's almost a 2-year mark of officers locating this, at the time, unidentified little boy in the woods. So I would argue that the defendant has been a fugitive since that time. Her identification has been made. I think that raises any bond in a murder case to be something of the utmost importance and should be of an amount that should be very difficult, if not impractical, for her to be able to afford. I feel she will be abscond from this court. She's never been from Indiana. She's not from Washington County, is my understanding.
But when the prosecutor was speaking to the judge, Anderson announced an objection, seemingly blaming the NSA for why she couldn't be found for 2 years after her son's death.
State the basis of your objection.
The basis of my objection is the fact that I am not a fugitive. I have been under NSA surveillance for the past 8 months, and how can that qualify me as a fugitive on the run when I've also had a detail from Space Force that was following my every move? When I contacted...
All right. Let me tell you, that is not a valid legal objection. If you want to represent yourself, you're going to have to learn the rules of evidence and the rules of procedure, because if you conduct yourself like this and make these types of objections, you have no chance in the world, lady. So objection overruled, but I will let you make argument in regards to bond.
Well, thank you. So that's my argument is that I have been under surveillance by NSA for over 8 months. I also have a detail that follows me everywhere I go from Space Force military. As in, I also contacted Indiana State. I think it was a federal marshal that I called to have my location tracked to pick me up. So there's no type of extent of me running where I need this astronomical bond on my charges.
The judge wasn't falling for Anderson's excuse as to why she never turned herself in.
Well, that's sort of interesting, because it's my understanding Officer Busick has been in touch with almost every one of those agencies, and they haven't been able to identify your location until recently. So I'm going to set your bond at no bond at this particular point in time, but if Space Force comes forward and tells me that they're willing to monitor you, we'll take up the issue of bond at a later time.
The judge then ended the hearing after the Washington County prosecutor and Indiana State Police held a brief press conference saying they feel a sense of relief now that she's facing her charges.
Obviously, we're happy that this day is here. As the Indiana State Police, this investigation's gone on for almost 2 years now. Detective Busick's done an outstanding job, along with other Indiana State Police detectives and personnel from Washington County Sheriff's Department and the prosecutor's office in bringing this investigation to this point. So Dejon Anderson arrived here in Indiana over the weekend, the early morning hours on Saturday and Sunday morning. So we're happy that she's back here in Indiana on our soil, where she can have her day in court. So naturally, this is very early in that process. As you saw, the type of individual we're dealing with today is going to be, I'm sure, some time before all this rolls around and we actually have the actual court hearing going on, but that'll be up for the prosecutor and the judge to decide. We're just happy that she's here and that we can step forward in this investigation and bring justice for Cairo.
During the press conference, a reporter asked the lead detective if he's aware of any government surveillance on Anderson. He responded, "Not that I'm aware of." After the hearing, a reporter also asked the prosecutor if she feels Anderson is competent to stand trial. The prosecutor says it's not an issue she'll address publicly. That'll be something they'll handle in the courts, if at all. The judge scheduled a pretrial hearing on the matter of sovereign citizenship. That hearing is scheduled for April 25th, and Anderson's trial is slated for August of this year. Reporting for Law and Crime, I'm Elizabeth Milner.
I also want to mention that Mr. Meredith has been present for everything, the burial, he was there for when Dawn took her plea, and I do believe he was there in the courtroom when Dejon made her statement. And I got to tell you, this has really touched this man. And there's just always something in him when he goes to his sanctuary, or what he used to consider his sanctuary.